nice. Yeah, no, she'll absolutely, definitely appreciate that. And she's great. I mean, I know you've seen her like online and stuff, but she's great.
Now you don't have to lie. You see it happen.
And there he is. What is going on, Mr. Larry Rolla? How you doing, buddy?
You're doing okay. That's some intro you got.
Yeah, something I made though the other day. I got fired up when I heard that you got out of the hospital and everything, and that you were doing better.
I got out an hour ago.
Well, yeah, that was I made that one after you got out for the original thing, and then you went back in.
Oh, yeah. I just got
And
out today, an hour ago.
Jesus. Pneumonia, right?
Yeah.
You'll make it.
It's pneumonia, yeah. When
Yeah.
your immune system gets wrecked, you wind up getting everything. I want to get out of there. Everybody in the hospital's sick.
No, I hear you, buddy. Yeah, no, and I even told you, like, to take your time, do this or that, but you'd rather keep moving. I appreciate, coming on here, man. Like, for real. This means a lot. And I guess, it's like, if you want, what do you want to do? You want to just tell like your life, or do you want me to ask questions? How do you want to do this?
You ask me anything you want.
Yeah, because your life is now your book Against All Odds. Anyone could get on Amazon, and his project was practically, I think it was already in get on its way to being picked up before COVID and all that type of stuff. The story that this man has is just
it was going to be $100 million movie. We were signing all the contracts. I flew out there the same day COVID hit everything. They shut everything down in California. I had to wait over. They bought the option for 16 months. Then California was shut down for 2 years. They called me to re-sign, and I didn't, because they couldn't tell me when we would start. Because of my age, I figured, let me try to raise the money myself or get somebody else. But within the week, the Valalango brothers called me up. And they just they just made a movie called Green Book.
Yeah.
They won the Academy Award, Best Screenplay, Best Motion Picture. And they called me. They knew I was friendly with their father. And they called me and they said, I heard you didn't sign with Sony. We'd like to do your story. They flew in. They were here a couple of weeks. I introduced them to the mayor of the town. We got a bunch of locations. We start talking to a couple of, stars, actors. And one of the brothers had to go back to California for 2 weeks. So the other brother, Frank, who called me and asked if he could stay with me rather than stay alone. And I said, yeah, sure. So he's supposed to come Monday night. He never showed up. Tuesday, no answer. Wednesday, no answer. And Thursday, I got a call that they found him dead in the Bronx. He went and got some cocaine. It was laced with fentanyl, and he died right at the wheel. So that was the end of that. And at the wake, his brother naturally flew back in and told me that he'd have to go back for 3 or 4 months. This was in November. In the meantime, another guy got in touch with me. I can't think of his name, but a heavyweight producer. He did about 49 TV series. Geez, I should know his name, but I forgot.
Yeah, I think you told me too. I'm thinking. I remember you telling me about the Green Book guy, but there was shit. It wasn't Pileggi, right? No, because you just told me to call him about something else.
Pileggi was involved. Pileggi and Richard Price were going to do the rewrite the movie script, and then we were all in California. We had a meeting here in Brooklyn with everybody. The the Sony people and the Village Roadshow people flew up. We all met at Peter Luger's. We all had a nice dinner and talked, and the deal was made. And we just flew out. COVID hit. So, and then the last guy I met with, can't think of his name, big producer. And he says, fly out here on, it was January, February, March, April. It was the day the writer's strike happened. So I fly out there, and he says, I'm sorry you came out. I should have called you earlier, but I wasn't sure. But today it's official. The writers went on strike, so we can't do nothing.
Oh, yeah, the SAG strike. Yeah.
Yeah, that strike lasted for 9 months.
Yeah.
Then the actors went on strike. Then the unions went on strike. Then oh, what a mess. That brings us right up to today. And then I got sick, and but now I'm gonna. I think I had a meeting with a couple of guys that might put up the money to make the movie, but I got sick and I wound up in the hospital, and I just got out an hour and a half ago.
Well, so, your second time getting out, because when I was talking to someone else, he's like, because I was like, you're out, because I was very excited, because not gonna lie, Alfredo put up a post saying like, you're fighting for your life. I was trying to call you constantly, and I didn't hear nothing in months, and I couldn't get nothing. So I didn't know what was going on. And then I didn't even do your whole. That's why I had to talk to Joe right when you were home, because we were thrilled, man. Like, because the news that we were getting, how fucking people talk. There wasn't Alfredo, just tell people, you know what I mean? I didn't know. I just didn't know. But I mean, I'm just so thankful though that you're here. And then you go back.
I'm riddled with stage 4 cancer, and they have yet to treat it, even though I have the medicine to treat it. It's a special medicine. It costs like $4,000 a month. But what happened was, since February, one of the cancer tumors was resting right on my spine, hitting a couple of the nerves. And they could never, no matter what they did, I had about 5 or 6 epidurals. Nothing worked. I had operations. I had everything. But the pain was so bad, they kept me like all doped up. And then finally, I asked them, I says, put me in hospice. I can't take the pain no more. The quality of life is more important to me than living another day.
Yeah.
So just put me in. And the surgeon said to me, he says, let me try one more thing. Let's try radiation to try to shrink that tumor that's resting on a nerve. So that's what we did. After the 6th treatment, it started to work. By the 10th treatment, it was all gone. The pain is all gone. And then I started concentrating on getting treatment for my cancer. And it's a fast moving cancer. But Sloan Kettering has something that pinpoints this type of cancer that I have. But like I said, it costs $4,000 a month just for the pills. So I got the pills and everything, and my treatment was supposed to be last week, but then I thought I had a heart attack, so they rushed me to the hospital, and it was pneumonia, and my heart was beating very hard because I couldn't breathe, and I just thought I had, the flu or something. So I kept on going, but when I collapsed, they rushed me to the hospital.
Well, this must have been when me and Joe talked to you. That was just that's the first time we talked. Like you said, though, when you got that zapped out. But then remember yesterday I was on a podcast. No, not yesterday. It was the day before. I was doing the Ozfest podcast with my buddy Chris, and you're like, "Don't call me. I'm going back in." That was I was like, Jesus. And then today I got a call from you. You're like, "Hey, what's up?" And like, "Want to do a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it, man." Like, so I mean, God bless you, man. I know you've been through hell and back, and you're fighting. And I don't know if you mind me saying this, but I mean, you're 86 years old. You're literally one of, if not the last guys out there who actually has like legit story, like about, that history, all the guys you dealt with. And I mean, I love you just as a friend normally. I mean, me and you, when my dad was real sick and passed, and I would drive up, talk to you in your kitchen and stuff. You're a great man. I'm just saying, on the whole other front of that, though, I mean, your story, it's a TV series. Like it's unbelievable. I mean, I only have Whitey Bulger, Tony Spilotro, and John Gotti there. And I'm just saying that this story is just something that absolutely should be picked up if people are smart. You know what I mean? I mean, you're the last of the real. You are. I mean, let's be honest.
Well,
Who's actually talking? Like, because you don't jam anyone up. You know what I mean? It's not, you never cooperated or any of that shit. You're just a guy that always did it his way and wasn't going to be pushed around by anyone. And
well, it gets you. It gets you. I know that. I know that everybody has their own story and everybody has their own reason. I gave up 3 fortunes. I mean fortunes. I don't mean $1 million. I mean fortunes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
In 3 different situations, not to give up one person, another situation, 4 people, another situation, 2 people. And, after you give up everything that you work so hard for, and then you sit down like on your rocking chair and like nobody even calls you to help you with the attorney fees, millions of dollars in attorney fees. Nobody calls you. Nobody thanks you. The 3 situations that if I would have told, I would have had all the fortune. I would have had all the money in the world and the best 2 businesses in the world. I would have been on my yacht someplace.
Yeah, but would you have been able to live with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I couldn't do it. And sometimes I wonder if you're, say, 50 years old, you have a wife and kids, you're in the mob, and you get put in a situation like a few of them were, and it's either spend the rest of your life in jail or get the death penalty to protect somebody that didn't protect you. I mean, what do you become, a fucking mutt to protect somebody that they didn't live up to their word or their code or whatever? So I get mixed up because right now at this point in my life, I should be worth $500 million.
Yeah.
And what gets you is that you get barred for life in the game that you love, and to protect, in one case, one person.
Yeah.
And then after I lose everything, you don't even get a phone call, not even a thank you.
No, no, you know what? And what you're saying though, I agree with you on some cases of that, but all those guys, meaning like if you're in the mob, like actually taking that oath, everyone knows though what they're taking. But I hear you. If someone, like for example, like Sammy Gravano, if he's mad at John, who you knew John, you were friends with John. If he was just mad at John over the tapes and all that and went after John, it'd be different than, but why did he go after the old Chin and 23 other guys? Yeah, I don't agree with that shit. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think that Larry, I think though, you're probably, at your age though, looking back and thinking like, yeah, this or that, but I know you wouldn't be able to live with yourself if you cooperated.
So there's a bunch of ways you think about it. When you're laying in the hospital, I've been in the hospital on and off now for 2 years.
Yeah.
I lost 50 pounds, riddled with cancer. And you're laying in the hospital and you're thinking, was that the right move? Now, I will tell you this. Years ago, many, many years ago when this happened. This happened like 30 years ago. Well, like 30, it happened 3 different times, years apart. And each time I lost a lot. And one day I asked an old wise guy. In fact, I'll tell you his name. Juicy. And I asked Juicy. I told him the whole story.
And just so I know, this is the only gentleman though that Cabert would not fuck with at all.
Didn't fuck with. He wouldn't fuck with Juicy. They grew up together. In fact, in my book, I have a picture of them when they were kids.
And well, I have a picture of you and Juicy that I just saw it. I think from, was it his 95th birthday? Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked him. He knew the story. I says, did I do the right thing? He says, absolutely. You did the right thing. I said, but in the meantime, instead of having 500 million, I have 0. You did the right thing. Honor. Yeah, but honor is a two-way street, Juice. Honor is a two-way street. Then I asked a younger mob guy, way up there. And I asked him, and he knew of me. Well, they all know of me. I said, did I do the right thing? He says, no, fuck them guys. You should have gave them a couple of 100,000 each and just be on your way. And, but when something like that happens, it's all in the newspapers and everything. And if I get reinstated, the only way I can get reinstated, I can't say I give each of these guys 200, 300,000 each. I can't say that. I have to say I'm not saying nothing. Just take it. But you know, it's tough, boy. It's tough when you're the only one that does the right thing, and you never really know who you're.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to disrespect you, like how you said you've been in the hospital. You're 86 years old, like, you know, my mind isn't like we're like, you know, you're obviously a lot more wiser than me and experience and everything like that. Looking back on everything, I hear you. But when you say, oh, I have nothing or that, I disagree though with that. I mean, fucking, you have more than a lot of fucking, I listen. And I know you made a point how you were like getting $1 million back in the 70s or 60s. That was like this. Today, Jesus Christ, getting $10 is hard. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say to you though is I could see what you're saying, but from my experience with you, maybe I'm wrong, the type of guy you are, if you did though go that other route instead, had your millions or whatever, I still think though that would still be inside you. It's just like riding a car when you have millions. You get used to it, you know? First time I wanted to drive, Larry, I fucking was all pumped up. I got my license. Now we walk to the car like it's nothing. That's how it is with a lot of money. You had tons. You know how it is, but life's more than just about money. You know what I mean?
Everybody says money is not everything. And the only reason I disagree with that is because cancer and sickness is worse. You don't survive that. The cancer comes. It's just a terrible, terrible disease, especially when you've been around these kind of people for 2 years. It's terrible. But after sickness, if you're healthy, without money, you got no chance. You better just get a regular 9-to-5 job. But if you're kind of a little entrepreneurial or a little, risk taker, without money and connections, you got no chance.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And the connections though is a big part of it though as well too, with the money and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm not saying broke. Like, I mean, you got a house, you know what I mean? You live in a nice place in Jersey. I know you don't care if I say just Jersey. It's not going to define, but you had nice little, setup and stuff like that. But I hear you, man. I could see you looking back, pondering, being like, oh, I wish, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But, and I watched my father for the past 2 years die of that disease. It was fucking terrible. And he taught me a lot of shit, though. Basically what you were just saying, but he was saying, take the fucking risk. Like when he used to be like 9 to 5, he was like, take the fucking risk, get this project done with the Buffalinos. He always starts shit. He's like, you're going to look back and you're going to fucking wish it. You know what I mean? So.
He was right. He is right.
Yeah. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. He's right.
So, I mean, we love you. We're here for you. When I say me, I'm just saying, what you did for us too on the documentary with the Buffalinos, with James Callahan, our director, all of us, and when Jordan stopped up and all that one day. I'm just saying though, like, and I can't mention names because of an NDA. We have all Larry's. We did throw those NDAs out, but I trust you. I don't think you have to sign an NDA for the documentary.
You don't have to worry about me.
I know that. That's what I'm trying to say to you, buddy. But also, too, I mean, at any time, too, if you're going out or if you're feeling like whatever, just let me know. And I want you to feel like you have to like stay on here or whatever. It's up to you, man. Like, what do you want? Because do you want me to ask you questions about your life, or do you want me to, I don't want you.
Ask me anything you want to ask me. Anything you want to ask me about my life, about my movie, about my book, about.
Did you ever almost kill anybody?
What's that?
You ever almost kill anybody? Yeah, ask me anything.
I almost did, but I didn't.
No, just listen. You're good. You're good. It was a joke, but I know where you're at. I don't know where you're at, but I get what you're saying. I'll ask questions that have statute of limitations. How about that?
Don't forget, when you're young and you're a kid and you grow up in a very tough neighborhood, you get addicted very young. The only thing that really saved me was that I wasn't a follower. I could never belong to a gang. I could never belong to nothing. I could never get in the car and have somebody take me where they wanted to go. They could get in my car and they can go where I want to go. And that's how I was. Whatever I did, I always, one time, when I was, I think, 16, I was doing a lot of bad stuff. And one day I was racing cars. I was racing stock cars. And on Sundays, I'd go to the drag strip. I had a roadster and a dragster. And every week something happened. I pop a clutch or pop an engine or something. So I was doing a lot of stick-ups and robberies and everything to fix these cars. And one day there was a gas station that was open on 112th Street in Astoria Boulevard in East Elmhurst. And it was brand new, grand opening. It had all brand new tires, all brand new. And it was in 1956. And they just come out with automatic transmissions. And, well, in 55 they did. But all the new transmission jacks, and they were very big and very heavy. Make a long story short, I robbed the truck and everything. Then I realized that it was a box truck. I wouldn't be able to pick up these jacks by myself. I could handle the tires and the cash register and all the other little stuff, but these jacks that were worth a lot of money, I couldn't pick them up. They weighed a couple of 100 pounds, but no, maybe not a couple of hundred, maybe 100 pounds or 120 pounds, but they were awkward. I couldn't lift them. So it was the only time in my life I did something with somebody else. That was the only time, and it was the only time I got caught.
Well, you did some stuff though with John Gotti.
Yeah, but that was in the horse business. That was later.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean when I was a kid? You mean now at this time? No, I robbed whatever I gave to Gotti to sell, meaning trailer truck tires and
Cuddy Stark whiskey.
3 trailer loads of 1,100 cases of Cuddy Stark whiskey, 3 trailer loads. I gave that to Gotti. Gotti, back then, when we were 15, 16, I robbed it from, I was working with, my cousin was the boss of Mid-State Inspector in Maspeth. And these 3 trail loads had to stay in a secured lot for a week. And I robbed them. And Gotti got rid of them with some friends of his that owned catering halls and everything. But I robbed the trucks. In this case, and I did it by myself. I drove each truck out, and I did everything alone. In this case here, I took somebody with me. And when 6 months later, somehow this guy must have went from gas station to gas station. He found these jacks because nobody had these jacks. They were brand new. They were big. They were red. And they come to my house and put me, and that's when I got the beating of my life.
Oh, you got the fucking shit kicked out of you though. But then also, I just want to go because a couple of the stories too, and also that people don't know though is that so you're in the tombs, you got the shit kicked out of you. But one thing that we didn't bring up though is I don't want to say like a father figure. Maybe you could say that because I know that I know about your father. You're pissed off about. I saw your one podcast with, you know, just being mad that you weren't there because of the scummy shit that you were doing at the time. But when I say father figure, Tommy Lucchese, you were very close with her. He was very close to your mother, and he's the one that actually
for
helped
him, I'd be dead or in jail for the rest of my life.
Tommy Lucchese is the one though that basically funded though your to start you out in horse racing, correct?
He not only that, but he got rid of my whole juvenile record. He got rid
Yeah,
of
what happened? Explain that real quick though, because I'm also going to edit over to here. I'm just grabbing something right here. Tommy Lucchese, your mother, you're growing up. What? How does that happen?
Well, after I got arrested for that one case,
yeah,
they arrested me and they took me upstairs in 114 precinct, and there was the head detective. There were 3 detectives up there. The head detective that come and got me along with one of the other guys. His name was Detective Sands, and he asked me, he pushes something in front of me, and he says, "Sign this." I says, "What is it?" And he says, "You're going to give me the name and admit that you did it. A confession time." I says, "I ain't signing nothing. I'll make it real short." With that, he got up. He slapped me. When he slapped me, I hit him. When I hit him, they handcuffed me in the back of the chair. He went and got a big law book, pounded me on the head about 10 times till everything was bleeding, including my eyes and my ears and my nose and my mouth. They uncuffed me. They asked me to sign. I wouldn't sign. They hit me again. I fell to the floor. They kicked me. I crawled into the corner. Bottom line was they broke my ankle. They broke 7 ribs, skull fracture, and they threw me in the tombs for 3 days. Monday morning, they take me to the courthouse in Queens, and I get out. My mother bails me out, and she takes me right to her boss. She ran all of Tommy Lucchese's dress factories, and she took me to her boss. I says, "Ma, you got to take me to a hospital." And she says, I couldn't breathe. I was covered with blood, all dried blood, because it was 3 days.
This is back when the cops would kick the shit out of you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Today you can't. There was no such thing as you have the right to. No such thing as that.
Yeah.
Sign this. If you don't sign it, they always have a pair of pliers in the drawer. They get your nail. They pull it out, pull your nails out, crush your fingers.
So guys who didn't cooperate back then, like they were getting a little bit of torture from the cops too. I mean, they held on. If you look at, I know he ran it, but if you look at Whitey Bulger's first mugshot, his jaw's broken, and he even said they even wrote in his memoirs like they kicked the living fuck out of him.
Yeah, they had no mercy, and nobody held them accountable. So that's what they did back then. Everybody knows that. That's what they did.
The tombs, though, let the people know that's like, weren't you laying around rats?
Well, the tombs are 3 cells down in the cellar of the precinct, and they have one 40-watt bulb in the middle of the room, 3 cells, probably 6-7 inches of water. They have 2 boards somehow attached to the cinder block walls. Each cell is like 8 by 10, and the rats are as big as cats. Oh. And they don't feed you; they just throw you down there. It was Thursday night, Friday night. It was by the time we got done, it was Friday. They threw me down there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday they took me out, and the only thing I ate that whole day was in the hold'em cell waiting to go to court. And they gave me 1 slice of raisin bread, 1 slice of white bread, and 1 slice of bologna. That was the only thing I ate. But anyway, after that, my mother.
You're talking. So what? Your mom though wanted, like, you're getting in trouble. You're going in a bad way. Then she steers you to Tommy, who you already knew.
Yeah, that's Tommy Lucchese, who I'm sure I don't know.
He runs Tommy Lucchese. For anyone who doesn't know, he's probably one of the most heavyweight guys that was ever out there. One of them.
And one of the 5 mafia family was named after him, Lucchese crime family. Very, very powerful guy. Had New York all locked up. So anyway, I says, when she gets me out of the jail, I says, "Ma, you got to take me to the hospital. I can't breathe." And she says, "I'm taking you where I should have taken you a long time ago." She takes me to Tommy Lucchese because she ran all his dress factories for him, and they were good friends. And he gave me a talking to. And basically what he said was, "Your mother is a nice lady and she's my friend. And you're breaking her heart with all your nickel and dime bullshit." And he says that if you want to straighten your life out, I'll help you in any way I can. And you'll never have a problem, including the one you have now. Go home and think about it. And that's how I went. I decided I went from the wrong side of the tracks to the right side of the tracks. And then the story gets crazy from there. And I can't get into it now because I'm getting tired.
No, I know, I get that though. But give me a lot of people been asking this lately, and it's weird because like Greg Scarpa Jr., for example, he just mentioned about John. He's like, no, John was great. One time he went to a beauty pageant for his niece or someone, one of Greg's relatives, and John was there. And John goes, "Do you want her to win?" And Greg's like, "Of course I want her to win." He's like, "All right, let's go talk to the judges," like immediately. And Greg was like, "No, no, no, John." And Greg's a guy who put down a lot of people. You know who his father was. Linda. My point though being though, I am just still so fascinated because he wasn't. I guess it's not all about being lethal killer or whatever. Well, like what was it about John? Like because you know him before he was the Teflon Don and all that.
Yeah, but sometimes, and I'm speaking for all of the mob guys. You have to be a certain kind of person to do that. You have to want to do that. Back in them days in the 40s and 50s, in them Italian neighborhoods, on every corner, there was a clubhouse with no mob guys, and you can't help but get addicted to the beautiful girls, the cars, the money, the this, the that, and they start you out just so go get me a pack of cigarettes, go get me here, and before you know it, that's your hangout every day from 14 to 15 to 16, and before you know it, they know who you are, they know and they trust you, they know you since you're born, and before you know it, you're doing things and doing things and doing things. But then when it comes to the heavyweight stuff, if you want something done, send me by myself. Don't send me with nobody. If you want to send me with somebody, I'm not going. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, that's you're smart.
I mean, I was never a made guy. I knew them all. And I knew when to step back and I knew when to step away. John Gotti, he was a good kid, tough kid. But he was
like good street fighter, real good street fighter.
Yeah, he was good. He was tough, yeah. And he, from the time he was a kid, he just wanted to be the leader of the gang and this and that. And he made all these connections. They were robbing everything, airports and everything. And if you had a bunch of swag or trail loads of stuff, in my opinion, he was the guy to see. So that's how I wound up meeting him. And
he was a gentleman?
Good guy to me. I don't know about anybody.
Not like what the fuck you doing here? This is my fucking operation. None of that.
No. Well, look, I had a different relationship with. Look, when you can go. I could have went to any of the worst mob killers in the world, all the shooters. And if I said to them, they say, "Kid, what are you doing here?" Well, I was just hanging out. Get the fuck out of here. Well, I got a horse today in the second race I can't lose. But then all of a sudden their whole attitude changes. There ain't one mob guy that ain't interested in a tip. And then when the tips win because the races are fixed, then you become, come on in. The guy anybody, whenever you see him, just watch his car and bring him in. And the same thing at the racetrack.
But John really respected you because there was a time though where there was, I think, a friend of yours who was like doing, someone needs to go to the beauty parlor or whatever, and John was, and if it wasn't for you, he would have got the beating of his life. So John obviously
that was Andre and Sorella comedy group, and Genovese family owned the SPQR in Little Italy. And it was a restaurant with a big showroom upstairs. So I had an 18-piece group called the Kenny Martell Concept. And I played up there. And the opening act was Andre and Sorrell. And I told, and John Gotti and his whole crew come. They got the front table, a whole row of, and I says, Bobby, that was part of the comedy act, the opening act. I says, don't say nothing. Leave that middle table alone. I says, good, because he does a joke that he looks into the audience and he goes over to this pretty girl and says, somebody went to the beauty parlor and they were closed, you know, like the girl is a wreck.
Yeah.
So anyway, I told him not to do it, but he did it. He did it. And John just went like this. Guy come over. And I just went to John. I said, John, I'll take care of it. Please leave him alone. I'll take care of it. And they would have beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, for him though to listen to you and all that type of stuff. What do you think though it was about him though that made him like? Because like usually bosses, no, it's actually not really because Pal Pac Castellano and stuff. It's just that like I don't. They say he never killed anybody. So, but I mean, you kind of have to. I don't know if the McBrackley hit, but the McBrackley hit is what really got him though made. But I'm just. I guess a lot of people want to know, like, how did he have the respect of everyone? Like, how was he feared if he wasn't like?
Because he had that attitude. He had fearless. He was fearless, and before he was a made guy, he was well respected by everybody. He was a tough guy. He played the part perfect before he was even a made guy. Now, I can't talk too much about it because I met him when I was 16, 15, 17, and then I didn't meet him again until I was 35. 40.
Yeah, but how about when he that was the McBrackley case in 1974 or 5, I believe, when he came to you and met you and said, sell the horse. That tells you another thing about him.
That was the time when that's a whole other story.
Well, no, I'm just saying, though, it shows you, though, that, like, you know, you would think, and he always would pay his debts and all that stuff. So, you know, I like to know from people who are around, not people who just, like, you know, fucking do research and say he was this or that. I like to know.
And he come to me. He got in touch with me in the 70s sometime. 73, I think. I can't remember these dates. It's 50, 60 years ago. And he says, I heard you're in trouble with a friend of mine. At that time, Cabert, who was a Jersey guy and a stone killer and a whack job, was very friendly with the New York mob. They were looking for every mob family got to have dependable shooters. And he was one. They eventually brought him from New Jersey to New York. But he was very friendly with John Gotti. So when I told John about it, and John, first thing, I won't go into the whole thing, but the first thing John said, yeah, you with the horse, I want to get a horse and everything else. So that's how I wound up getting him a horse. The second thing he says was, well, let me talk to Bert, see what I could do. I says, John, please. I don't want to put you on the spot. I know you probably talked to him. And what he's probably going to say to you is that if you want, you're on his side, you pay the money. I know that. So just, I'll handle it. I'll leave it alone. And he laughed and he knew I was right. You can't just go with a guy that you owe $360,000 and say, look, he's a friend of mine. Forget about it. Mob or no mob.
And he was a mob guy, Cabert, but for the people watching, this was before John was boss. So it's not like he could just, you know. Yeah.
But even if he was boss, it's still, you can't, I don't know. I'm not, let's say Vincent Gigante, the chin, right? He's the boss. And let's say one of his kids owes $500,000 to some bookmaker. I'm not even sure if Gigante could call this guy in and say, my son is even with you, because that ain't the way it is. It shouldn't be like that. And I don't think he would do that. I don't know. But I know outside of a situation like that, outside, what do you got up there?
No, nothing. I was just reading my partner who's usually on this show, Keith. What's going on, Keith? And he's working right now. He really wanted to do this. I was just looking at his comment. In my experience, at the end of the day, most people look out for themselves. People very rarely have the loyalty you have, Larry. Nice. That's from Keith, my partner on the show.
Well, look, you got to do. I could never even think of doing that. But I wonder how I would feel if I was 30 years old, had a wife and 2 little kids, and then I wind up in jail for life because the oath that I took, that the same oath that my friends took, that my friends ratted on me, and it got to work both ways. And when it don't, you got to be a jerk if you take the rap. And that's why most of them are stool pigeons. They become government informants, because you're talking about life sentences, 30, 40 years, and a lot of them were put there because of stool pigeons, and many of them, like Scarpa, were double agents. They were stool pigeons, aside from captains in the Colombo family or the Casey family.
Speaking of that, though, you met the gentleman, though, and even when I went out to South Boston, a lot of people told me about him, though. Like, they just said, another one that I just can't understand, because you look at pictures of him, he looks like an old man, but I know you just had a brief encounter. And I think you even said on your podcast, you were like, scary fucking guy. But when Whitey Bulger went after, what's his name? He's in our documentary because he tried putting Angelo Buffalino away. Fat Tony Shula.
Yeah.
Didn't Whitey come down one time fucking looking for Tony?
Well, he come to the barn because Shula got me when I first got to Finger Lakes. Not Finger Lakes. Where was it? What track was that?
Monticello?
No, oh, jeez.
Not Pocono, not Monticello.
All these pills got me doped up. It's in the book.
Larry, don't worry about it, man. I get it. That's fine. That's fine.
But anyway, I went to this track, and he come over to me the opening day, and I had a couple of horses in, and he says, "I'm Tony Shula. We control all the racetracks and around here," and I can't remember the name of that track. Gee, it was the only time they ever had harness racing.
It wasn't in Jersey, was it? Was it in Jersey?
No, it was in Boston.
Lincoln Downs?
Lincoln Downs, yeah, Lincoln Downs.
See, I remember when you tell me. See, I remember.
Lincoln Downs. So anyway, make a long story short, I wound up fixing a bunch of races. We made a ton of money, and he was busting out all Whitey Bulger bookmakers. And Whitey Bulger really shouldn't care, because it wasn't his money, and they would have to come to him to renew their bankroll, and Whitey would charge him 1 or 2 points. But he wanted the action. He wanted to know. So they said it was Tony. So he come to the barn, and he got all the information. And he come to the barn one morning with one other guy. He says, "You Larry Rolla?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "You've been dealing with Tony Shula?" And just then Shula walks in. So I didn't have to answer any more questions. He got a hold of them. They walked away. And from what I understand, Tony had to give him $60,000 or $70,000, and he did.
He's a lot bigger than Whitey, right?
What's that?
Shula was a lot bigger than Whitey, right?
Shula was fucking 6.5 feet tall and 300 pounds. He was a big blowhard.
Well, but probably scared of Whitey, right?
Oh yeah, everybody was scared. Whitey was a stone cold killer. I mean, he was a bad guy. Another double.
Just from that encounter, though, do you remember though that like just his presence though? Like, could you tell, oh, this guy's for real?
Yeah, you could look. Just how everybody could be around John Gotti when he was a kid and tell that he's somebody to reckon with. When Whitey Bulger walked up, I don't know how to explain it, but they just have this persona about them. They have this attitude, the way they walk, the way they look, the way they talk, the way they just look at you. you could tell this is nobody to fuck with. And
Now now you owed, I would say, probably one of the most feared killers in the mob. Was he the boss of Jersey? What was Cabert?
Cabert was just a soldier in the Genovese family, and that was part of a crew in Jersey. But because he got recognized only because he was a stone cold killer, everybody feared him. Everybody scared of him. And naturally, this goes back to New York. And whenever Gotti needed something or wanted, he when they went to see him, and he put him with Gravano.
Yep.
And they did what they did. I was just thinking of something that I forgot.
Well, we were talking about Whitey, and then you were talking about these guys' presence and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could tell the real guys from the bullshit artists. Well, I mean, if you grew up in that, like.
Well, I have a friend named. Yeah, my friend. God.
A big fat piece of shit who try to intimidate everybody. But how do you intimidate somebody like me who grew up around this shit? Like when he said to me, you got 2 horses and 2 favorites in, I'll give you 500 each horse, be worse than third, and tell me what stall they're in. I'll have my vet come and treat them. And I says to him, first of all, I want 1,000 a horse to tell your vet to stay home. And that was it. He looked at me, he says, you know who you're talking? I says, it makes no fucking difference. It makes no difference who I'm talking. You asked me if I wanted to make money, if I wanted a deal, I wanted a deal. But you're not going to control what I have to do and how I have to do it. So he says, well, he takes out the money, he gives me 2,000. And he says, you better be right, because I'll be back here tomorrow morning. And I said to him, just bring me coffee and a bagel with cream cheese. And that was it. Sure enough, I finished back. He won a lot of money, and all of a sudden he became my best friend.
Oh, of course.
I told him, I says, look, we're going to do something for the next 3 months. Don't pull no wise guy shit with me. I grew up around not guys like you, but guys like you, guys that you would like to be. So
exactly.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
And I never had a problem. He's just a big phony.
No, but then he ended up cooperating. And the funny thing is that everyone went away, but Angelo Buffalino. He's the only one that beat the case.
Yeah, I know.
And that was in 1975, Larry, I believe, or 74.
Yeah, something like that. That's when they all got pinched.
Yeah, and So I did remember you had to get Tony Spilotro. Like, wait, Keith wanted to know, you ever run around any Lebanese type guys?
No.
Yeah, if there's tough Lebanese guys and Lithuanian guys that I saw, and Albanians are very tough, but as far as crews of them and stuff, I don't know if they were in America.
There was one guy, he was Lebanese, he was one of them foreign things. I don't know. But he used to hang around.
I said we're all foreign things, but go on.
Yeah, one of them foreign countries. What the fuck do I know? Lebanese? I don't know the difference. But anyway, after Gotti went to jail, I think in 74, right after we sold the horse, he come over to me one day. And I know I saw him around the club when I used to meet Gotti across the street. There was a little deli there or something where I used to sit away from across from this place. And he come over to me one day and he says, what do you got? You know me, I'm with John and this and that. And he says, look, pal, I don't know who you are. I saw you around, I don't know who you are. And then he almost threatened me once. And I says, all right, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, you don't want to talk to me like that, and you don't want to, you'd be better off if you played ball with me. So at that point, if you have a gun, you shoot him. If you don't have a gun, you say, okay, no problem. So the next day, 2 days later, I says, okay, as soon as I have something, give me your phone number, I'll call you. So 2 days later, I have to go make a payment to Cabert down Atlantic Island. And no, it wasn't Atlantic Highlands. I had to go to Newark. He didn't live in Atlantic Island. He just had to go. But anyway, I forget. But anyway, I told him what happened. He says, all right, here's what you do. He says, call up the guy, tell him that you had a horse going, that it was a last minute thing, but you put a $500 bet in for him, and you have some money for him to come and meet you in Newark. And I gave him the address, and sure enough, he showed up that night. And Cabert says, when he comes here, just bring him in the back. I'll be in the back. Bring me. I said, come on, the money's in the back. I brought him in the back, and he just says, when you bring him in, just close the door. Just leave and close the door behind you. That was the last I ever seen of the guy. So all of these things, and there's 100 stories like that. Because when you
and the way though that you got out of that is just unbelievable.
Yeah, well, there's a million stories of how I got out of things too.
Oh, that's why I try telling everyone. But your story, it's like that's why
that's why Nicholas Pileggi said this can't be a movie, because I had 2 meetings with him and 1 dinner with him, and every time I told him a different story, because everything that's in the book is 1% of the real story. I mean, even the Nicky Bond story that's in the book.
I know.
That's really 1% of what
that's
really
a movie,
happened.
Though. No, but each of those, like if you go to LarryRolla.com, folks, and I'll put it in the description, and you go to podcast, you'll see clips of him talking literally about the who's and like Nicky Barnes' crew, and then you even have one of Nicky's guys next to you.
The only living member of that crew. He just got out of jail. And,
sitting right next to Larry, just talking, you know. I'm going to put that up. It's just that's just LarryRolla.com, right?
I don't even know. I have so many.
Well, it definitely is, because I know
I don't handle this kind of stuff. I have people do it for me because I don't know how to. I'm computer illiterate. I have no idea.
Well, editing type stuff or whatever, though, that's what I do, my man. And it'd be on the house if you ever need anything from me. But Gracie said you rock. Thank you, Gracie. But there it is, LarryRolla.com. If that doesn't come as a link, just type it in. It's his name.com, people. And go to fucking podcast and check it out. It's fantastic. But that's what I mean, Larry, because like I took a look at your pitch deck, all that type of I mean, the fucking thing is fantastic. I mean, like I'm not just saying this because I'm friends with you. I'm telling you straight up. I mean, and I would tell you if something sucked just like you are. You're straight up like, no, man, he's right.
If you like what I sent you, see what you can do about it.
Well, we already are. Believe me, we already are. And my director, James, as well, with his agency and stuff like that, because he loves you too. He was up there to only that one day, but he's a good one too. And with our project, we had some interesting people reaching out, and you know how I am. We went to dinner with Linda, and I was asking for you, not me. Like, I mean, I'm your guy. Like, I definitely want, I'm not one of those fucking scumbags that's just trying to get money, and you know that. I fucking help my people. Because you were shocked. You were like, why are you helping me when you got something going on? Because that's how I am. I don't give a shit.
That's what I said to you. Why are you helping me when you have something going on? Yeah.
Well, because
that's one of the reasons why I answer your calls all the time.
Well, that's when we were at with Tom and I was talking to Alfredo there. You were telling him, you're like, you know what this guy did? I guess, and now I get it, because I haven't talked to you in a while, because God bless you, because of your sickness. But oh my God, like, yeah, like even like some people I'm in a car with, and I get it, some heavyweight type people, they'll be like, oh, what else are you working on? What do you have next, this or that? I'm like, dude, I'm like, nothing. This project's like my whole life, and I don't even care about the money, whatever. I mean, I care about helping out Joe, and then I know Joe is, and me and Joe are gonna fucking start something. But it's just yeah, I don't know. I'm just passionate, and I like to help out good people. You got to remember, I was an addict, and I was all about myself and selfish. So even people I make reels for, they're always trying to give me money, and I'm like, no, I don't, And that's just how I am. I don't know. But then it would be, if I saw your series get picked up, I would be just as fucking happy, man, as if it was like one of mine.
Listen to me, Loomis. I hate to do this, but I can't. I have to eat, and
go, buddy. Don't.
We'll do it another time. I'll stay on for 5 hours, but I can't no more.
No, Larry.
And say hello to Linda for me if you speak to her. And I'll talk to you. And then I think Friday I have to do my podcast. And I don't know what's going to happen after that. I don't know.
Well, listen, listen, buddy. Stay positive. And besides the podcast world, just give me a call at any time. Me and Joe are fucking so happy, man. And James, when I told him about that, you're, that you got out of that pain because, you know what, like you said, you'd rather be dead than that quality of life. And you are the guy, though, man, that like, you see some story. I mean, I'm gonna be quick. You see some of these fucking things getting picked up. It's just too fake. You know what I mean? If you want the fucking real deal, he's right here. I'm just being real. I mean, I mean, you were with the who's. I'm saying, if anyone wants to write anything about the mob or true crime or this or that, I mean, I can't even believe that you should have been a consultant on every fucking movie because you're around every one of them. But anyway, that's for another time, Larry. I can't appreciate it. I wasn't trying
to have to cut it short, but I can't make it.
We did an hour, buddy. Listen to me. I'm honored. Everyone here is honored. Thank you so much, my friend. Go out and eat, and I will talk to you over the weekend. All right, buddy?
Thank you, Loomis. Thanks a lot.
You got it, buddy.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, buddy. There's Mr. Larry Rolla, and absolutely, it's a blessing because Alfredo Natoli, who is Joe Pesci's stand-in, he said that Larry's fighting for his life, and I'm like, oh my god, like, so when my father was sick over on the weekends, even like me and James went up there, filmed them. I was already there though before, but me and James went up there and filmed them. Then after that, I went back up there the next weekend, and then like when I was able to get away, I went up there. Me and Jordan went up there one time. I went up there another time, and just the people though that were pulling into his house. I'm not gonna say who, but like biker clubs, like ones that and all that, sergeants of arms just pulling in, like out of respect. Like Larry's just what I love about Larry, like what I tell everyone. Fuck, don't put anyone on a pedestal. Why do you got it? I think that's what kept him alive. He didn't look at these guys like, oh, whatever. He was one, but just not Italian. So, and he just wanted to do things by himself. And I had to stop him when I was asking about certain things because, I get, I don't want to say this, but I mean, he's 86 years old, and I never thought that this could be possible again. So this is probably the most special podcast that I've ever done. And with his sickness, because he won't mind me saying this though, but like he was done. And then he told the doctor, like the thing they always wanted to do, he said, zap it with freaking with radiation because the tumor was on his nerve, and they zapped it, and because he was just going to end it. There's no way to live. And then he he felt better, and then me and Joe had a great conversation with him, and then he went back in the hospital, and I'm like, oh my god. And I kept out low, but he was talking about it here, and then he came back out today, calls me, and he's like, yeah, podcast, like that's the type of guy he is. Like, he's stage 4, in and out of the hospital. I haven't talked to him in months. And he's like, yeah, I told you I do that podcast. I said, Larry, I said, like, I wasn't forcing him to come on or anything like that. But at the same time, though, I know how it is with my pops or people like that. Like, that get sick and stuff like that. You don't treat him though that way. And Larry, you look fantastic, man. You sounded fantastic. I haven't seen you in years. It felt like years, I should say months, but I'm just all like feeling all weird right now because like, the people I talk to, like I'm not like on an agenda. I actually love, and I'm fucking friends with them. Besides all this fucking Hollywood fucking money fucking bullshit. Like if I got your back, I got your fucking back. And that's how I am. But that's why like when he was like amazed, like when I said that to me, that's like what people should do. Okay. Especially here. We don't walk over people to get something. So that's why I was doing that for Larry. And Joe knew about it and everything. And Joe was the same fucking way. This documentary that we're doing isn't trying about making money and all that. That's about just, Hollywood poked the bear and fucking it's time to get the truth out. But the man who was just sitting down with us, the people that he got and everything he did for the documentary, I just can't thank him enough. And listen, LarryRolla.com. Check him out. His book is Against All Odds, which is fantastic. The who's who's. And I knew I should have had it next to me, but I knew I should have had it though. Only me, right? Leave it to me to fuck that up. But anyway, Against All Odds, Larry Rolla. Oh, there's Tony Shula. That's Collada, Frank Collada. I see Whitey there. And I'll just read the back for you. Tommy DeVito, founder of the Four Seasons, wrote this. Larry Rolla, simply put, is a legend, a loyal friend, and unique man whose path would not survive. Oh, sorry, that was from Alfredo Leon, producer international. Although we traveled different roads, Larry Rolla and I were on the same path when it came to making money. Frank Collada. Now, Frank Collada, if you've seen the movie Casino, Frank Vincent played him. He was Joe Pesci's guy with the gray hair. He's Phil, and R.I.P. Frank Vincent, who was also best friends with our host for the Buffalino Project, Lou Silver. R.I.P. Frank. That was from Frank Collada. And then I never cared that Larry fixed races as long as he let me in on the fix and not Frankie Valli. That's from Tommy DeVito, from the founder of the Four Seasons. And this book here, A True Story of One Man's Ride Through the Tainted World of Horse Racing, a world riddled with greed, corruption, celebrities, drugs, sex, and the mob, by Larry Rolla with Michael Benson. And I'm sure if anyone wants to, let me know if anyone wants like a signed copy. He'll definitely sign it up though for you. And as well, you get it dedicated to his mother and father, who loved and backed him up unconditionally despite some of the poor decisions he made in his life. His mother ran Tommy Lucchese's dress factories, so he was right from the get-go. And yeah, there he is. There's Phil. Frank Vincent right there. Frank Vincent, actor. Oh, Frank wrote the foreword. I'm going to read it for Larry. This is from Frank Vincent. I first saw Larry Rolla long before I met him. He was with this handsome guy who used to sit at a table near the front when I was a drummer for various small combos playing nightclubs throughout the New York, Jersey area. He played with Joe Pesci in a band, and Alfredo Natoli. New Jersey area. I noticed him because he sat by himself, sipped a glass of red wine, and never took his eyes or ears off the band. He had movie star looks, and women were constantly approaching him, but he would wave them off with the tiniest flick of his hand. He wasn't there to get lucky. He was there to listen to the music, and I appreciated that. After I started working as an actor for director Martin Scorsese in Raging Bull, 1980, I was playing the lounge at a restaurant. I won't mention the name of the place or who ran the joint. I don't ran that, but this was a happening place. Every once in a while, the bosses would give me money and numbers and send me to the track to place a bet for them, usually a box trifecta of underdogs on the last race of the night. I placed the bet and come back to work happy every time. I eventually learned that my bosses knew Larry Rolla, and Larry knew who was going to win the race in advance. He knew because he was the one who put the fix in. How he did it, I don't know. No one knew. In this book, Larry spills the beans for the first time, not just about the nuts and bolts of fixing a horse race, the various ways to do it and not to do it, but he tells the story of his life, which is a roller coaster ride of ups and downs that's straight out of the Sinatra song, That's Life, That's Life. He went from being broke to being a millionaire, to sleeping on a park bench and back again. In Larry's great memoir, Against All Odds, you'll learn not just how one guy in a moment of desperation turned into a money-making machine, but also of the corruption that goes on at racetracks across the nation. Larry stole from the rich and gave to the poor. Unfortunately, the great majority of the fix at racetracks send the money in the other direction, a subject that gets under Larry's skin like no other. Larry is a talented trainer who invented new ways to fix aging and injured race horses. And most importantly, he was an extremely compassionate guy who took people with damaged lives and fixed or helped them as well, if he could. It's great to know Larry Rolla, one of the most interesting men I've ever met. And I recommend this book to anyone who loves horses and people. In fact, I recommend his book to anyone with a heart that's still beating. Actor Frank Vincent. So yeah, Larry's real deal. And when I say also real deal, like how he just said, like, I only answer your phone calls because of that or whatever. Like, like he just Richard Veltri, my good friend, who you know, if you've been on here, who's been on with me and Keith, he has a saying where he says, I see the shadows. And what that means is he immediately knows if someone's just putting on something or if someone's putting this or that, And him and Larry are very similar, though, in that way. And Richard was the same way. He rolled by himself, for the most part of it. And there was nobody anyway for him, though, to cooperate on, even though he wouldn't, But that was weird to seeing Larry, though, saying that stuff, like pondering back, because you got to read, you got to put yourself in his shoes now, at the hospital all that long, and then he's looking back at his life. But I think it's just, Frank Vincent passes away. Frank Collada then passes away from COVID as well. That's what screwed up, though, also his TV series. And then I forgot to mention, as I was reading this, what saved Larry's life, which a lot of you will like if you're from the Aussie channel, though, but music. He was a degenerate gambler and was just betting on everything, and he was addicted like you wouldn't believe. And he something about music. He would just sit there. Women would be coming up to him, get away from me. He's watching music. I can appreciate that just as a musician. Like he's just watching the music, instead of most people go out to a club, let me find a lady. The man's just great. He's one of the last of the reels that you'll see. And this was such an honor. And I just want to say that Mr. Keith Shibley was like fucking heartbroken because he knew that, we had to do this, when Larry wanted to do it. And of course, of all weeks, this is the week that Keith is working every night, every day. And that's why we didn't do Mind Over Madness, though, this week. And we got reported on, too, by a bunch of pussies. But besides that, though, Larry, we love you. Let me just say some hellos. The Lebanese shit was hilarious. I know when he said, what did he say? One of those foreigner. He was about to probably say he knew a guy like I told you yesterday who was Lebanese, who was tough as fuck. You know what I mean? You're the only one, though, that I don't know what happened to you. You don't know how to fight. But my uncle George is Lebanese, very tough. George, shout out to him, my confirmation sponsor. Yogi Michael, state champion and All-American freaking wrestler. Very tough. Keith Shibley, I respect the heritage, pussy. Keith's father, though, back in the day, could tell, tough, strong, But Keith, you don't make your life out of what out of that. You make it out of the actions that you do. So don't take it to heart that you don't know how to fight. I'm just kidding. Larry is everything my dad described to me about the mob in Jersey. Absolutely. Yes, please do. If it's right on Amazon, Against All Odds. And if anyone though wants like a special signed copy from Larry, because obviously, he would do that in a second for me. But with what's going on, I don't like saying it. He's doing fantastic today, and I live by my day with sobriety and stuff like that. So today's today, and Larry's going to be back on, and he's going to be back on with me and Keith, and that's that. And everyone, though, who threw their prayers out when I put up that post, I think it was about 3-4 months ago. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Because a lot of people be like, they'll just throw an emoji up, but I don't do that shit. Like if I'm going to throw an emoji up, then I don't actually like pray or say something nice, then I'm a fake. You can't scam the fucking spirits. They know your heart. So prayers next. Who's McGregor lost? No. Prayers fucking handle the prayer. It could be 3 seconds. That's all. Thank you, Veronica. You're the best. But that was an honor. Thank you. That was an honor. And he wanted to come on our show, and Keith, I know that you were very disappointed, and I was breaking balls about Lee. Keith could freaking rip someone's jugular out if he wants to. I was joking. He's a brother, so we break balls. But I know yesterday when I was talking to Keith, he really wanted in on this Larry interview, and we're gonna do another one though, Keith. So you'll be in definitely on the second, brother. You told me though to just run it and run it. Yeah, very, very direct, old school. Doesn't waste time. If you're sitting down talking to him about something though that like he's really not like interested in, he's not gonna let you finish. He's kind of like how Ozzy is now. He's not gonna let you like finish the conversation. He's just gonna be like stop. He's just very wide open, and that's what I love about him. And he could take criticism like advice. Like he sent me something, asked me if it was good. If I say no, he doesn't get mad. But it was very good actually. Had a great uncle associated with people in Detroit. Well, yeah, Larry was all over. I got to ask him about Detroit though, because he knew the guys from, everyone in New York, and he didn't just know made guys. I'm talking, he knew the who's who. You know what I'm saying, of that life, and I can't say anything about because of the NDA about our track up here, but I could say though that he had some dealings with Pocono up here. But you're gonna have to wait for the documentary on that. And also, we just have a lot of footage too of Larry just talking about his life story. He's also on Soft White Underbelly. If you want to check out that episode, go on YouTube, type in Larry Rolla. If you know what Soft White Underbelly is, that's a big one where they just sit down by themselves and talk. Larry's on that. He's also on the Connect. He's on just LarryRolla.com. Him and Richard Veltri are the best cat, and the documentary doing are seriously the secrets of not secrets. Larry's known, but I'm saying though, there's other people out there besides that. People just, and everyone you're seeing on YouTube pretty much cooperated, did this or that and all that. I'm not, whatever that is, what it is. I can't put them down because if I was never looking at 25 to life, so I always say I can't put them down. But people who were and did that 100%, or if your family was involved with that 100 fucking percent. But at the same time, people, you commit crimes, man. You take an oath, and even if the guy does whatever, does this, people are going to disagree with me. I could see if Gravano just wanted to cooperate because John fucked. Okay, well then just cooperate on John, not 27 or 23 other people in other organizations and all that type of stuff. So that right there tells you. And the 13 months in MCC though, first time in jail, couldn't handle. So that's and who knows what really happened though in there. I just think you look at Larry, he's talking, and you look at John Gotti, literally was laying down, dying, wouldn't take a pain pill. Every day was like another fuck you to the government. He was alive. The priest comes to him for last rites, and he goes like this, waves him off because he couldn't talk. Waves off the priest for last rites. Say what you want about the guy, but that guy was fucking. He was who he was. Definitely fucking. He made no bones about that. And you'll see a lot of people say they met John, and then you don't say these stories that nobody could confirm or whatever. Larry absolutely fucking, and John, before he went away for the Brackney hit, goes, I don't think I'm going to beat this case, sell the horse. That's the type of guy he was. He would pay his bookies even when he was the boss. He's John Gotti. He's the boss of the mob in New York at the time. You know what I mean? You're paying Lenny, the book, I'm making up a name, Lenny. That's how fucking honorable he was. He wasn't bully, fuck you, give me 2 dimes or on this. No, he paid the bookies. So I just think people have a different perception of John Gotti too, as well, of who he really was. I think my view was with the 1985 Rico hit, and even Russell knew that, and all those, I think they were done. That's when everything was pretty much done, even though Russ was away still. And I believe by then though he was in the it was more nursing type medical unit, but did he have a stroke? I had to look it up. But he was in Leavenworth, and Frank was in Sandstone, Minnesota. But that's why I was asking those questions about John, because when you see stuff though, like on the news and this, that, he ruined the mob. First off, no, he didn't. Rico ruined the mob and cooperators ruined the mob. The guy definitely, shouldn't have people come into his place on Tuesdays when he knows that the feds are out there. But he even says it, and you hear it on tape. He goes, "When I'm in prison," he knew he was going away, but he was just going to live it his way. What if he sees a bunch of cameras outside of his house? He's not going to hide. That's just how he was. So when people say John Gotti ruined the mob, I find that real funny, because the mob's been around for fucking just almost a century by the time that they fucking got him. And before that, with the mustache Pete's, Black Hand, all that shit. And he ruined the mob. No, technology eventually ruined the mob. Cooperation ruined the mob. And they had to throw in the little bitch Rico. We don't know how to get him, so let's get them all by. Yeah, that's like I could be fucking sitting here and Keith fucking does whatever the fucking now I'm going away. Fuck Rico. Oh, and and Joe Bonanno, who's everyone like, one of the first five of Godfathers. His book, he laid out the blueprint of the tree that you see, the freaking boss, consigliere, underbot. He freaking laid it out in his book. Rudy Giuliani starts reading it. This guy's supposed to be, since out of respect, since he was one of the original five, Bonanno, and his son, no, they needed a better climate. They let him live up out in Arizona for the rest of his days. But he did a 60-minute interview and stuff. It's just crazy. Yeah, like I see that this is the stuff I used to always do that I'm pretty well versed on. I just needed to take a break for a while, especially with working on the documentary and all that type of stuff. But Larry Rolla, man, I can't thank you though enough. Like this one's special. And Keith, I'm definitely going to be making obviously making clips. And well, we don't want to do a pre-record though, Keith, because we're going to do it with Larry one day though, next week when you're off. So be ready for that. Yeah, but you know what though? Everyone's been singing though. I could pull, the thing is though, Gina, that's when it became public singing. But I have paperwork here on Russell. When people are cooperating in the 40s, there's always was informants. So without informants, they wouldn't though have had to like anything. But well, this is the 1980 Pennsylvania crime report. And oh, there's our building. Nice. But this Scaliette Pasquale, it's his family right there. But a lot of these guys are great guys. People say this or say that. People read one article and they're terrible. There's Joe's dad right there, Angelo. Good, great guy. Casper, I think that's ABS contract that he's walking out of. But Dave Astico, he was vicious. Eddie Sheandra, who was the last real boss of the Buffalino family, because even when you see him out there though with Scarfo too towards the end, Buffalinos are done with that. Besides the connections though that people who are associated with them had with the other mob out there, but a non-made man cannot be a boss. So with that, Larry, thank you so much. I can't, this was incredible, and I'm going to end it here because I don't want to keep going too long, because it's just was for Larry and everyone who came in to watch this. It really means a lot. Larry's a dear friend. I wish I had more time to prepare some pictures and stuff that we have, but you will be seeing Larry on the documentary. It is what it is, the true story of the Buffalino family. He did a lot on there for us, and we really, really appreciate it, Larry. And like I said, guys, please look up LarryRolla.com. His story is unbelievable. And I have his book in the description as well. If you just hit the link, it'll take you right to, I'm telling you, you'll love it. It's one of those, you just even from the forward from Frank Vincent on, you'll learn so much because like every guy's in it. But listen, thank you so much for watching Mind Over Madness, a special edition that was just had to be done. So Keith, we actually did get one in this week, and we got a very special one, but I know it sucks because you really wanted to be here of all weeks. But with that said, it wasn't like Keith has sick time, but this was like, I got called today. Larry's like, let's do it in 2 hours or an hour. Like, so we didn't know the day. So next week, Keith, But thank you, everyone, though, for tuning in. Please subscribe, share with your friends. We're going to be starting to share a lot of clips and start working on it since now stuff's calming down. It's time to get Mind on the Madness, though. Mind Over Madness kicking, get up to that 1,000 subscribers and start rocking and rolling. But please tell your friends about us. And when you explain us, just say we're just a bunch of fucking, jag-offs who don't have a filter and talk. What better do you want, right? Larry, I love you. Thank you so much, my man. And I'll be talking to you shortly. Everyone else, have a beautiful Wednesday night. Thank you again. This one's for you, Larry. Yes, Larry. Boom. Nice. Yeah. No, she'll absolutely, definitely appreciate that. And she's great. I mean, I know you've seen her like online and stuff, but she's great.
Now you don't have to lie. You say you haven't.
God bless you, Larry. Thank you so much, my friend. Good night, everyone.